Hello and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Today we have a fun little contract that is to orbit Minmus and to go on an orbital spacewalk near Minmus. See, normally this would be possible in any other kind of rocket, but this is the key part here, right? I've kind of made a personal vow that I will not do spacewalks unless there is an orbital lab involved. So what I've done is I've just opened up the Mark, what was the Mark 14, I've renamed it the Mark 17, and I'm wondering if there are any modifications I'm going to need to make in order to, in order to go and actually get to Minmus, because if you can recall from that episode, we actually got to Minmus pretty easily. Or not Minmus, we got around the moon and back into a stable orbit around Kerbin, like, with surprising efficiency, so look, I think ultimately this is actually going to be an okay mission. It's going to be like we just go up there, we stay up there, we're good. And the issue now is sending up the scientists. Need to make sure I have the crew recruited. Oh, what do you know? I have crew ready to go. I have an extra pilot, so Kendard, you will be going to the command pod there. And Depond, Kermans, and Gwendrid. Right, so the three of you will be going up to Minmus and doing orbital work there, for as long as science is or can be obtained from that particular point in space. So, lovely. As far as I recall, the ship was fine, so without any further ado, we're going to save this and we're going to launch. I know this is not a very lengthy shipbuilding exercise, but if you want, you can go back to the episode where we got our SkyLab up, and you can go through the construction with us there. Oh, God. Okay, right. Well, no time like the present. Okay, that does still take off. Cool. Right, so yeah, the features of this crafter are pretty kind of standard issue. We have ourselves some solar panels. We don't have any of the extending variant just yet, but that is what it is. We do have a number of action groups bound. I hope I will be able to remember those. That'll allow us to do science on the fly, essentially, so that'll be super helpful. And basically, the plan is to grab as much information in orbit of Minmus as possible, so that we can start beaming it back to the boys here in the Kerbal Space Center. So yeah, this is it's a bit of a rocky descent there. Oh, don't know what's going on. Oh, but yeah, this is nice. This is nice. We're touching Mach 2 now. And we've gotten above 10,000. These boosters are holding on for quite some time, actually. I'm pretty impressed by that. I suppose the ship is fairly well streamlined, so that's nice. Okay, we're starting to heat up a bit now as we hit Mach 3. Okay, any second now, though, we're going to start decelerating a bit more reasonably. Right? Yeah, here comes... So they come away. Did the engine come off? That's not ideal. Alright, back to launch. We're at launch there, right? Okay, brain had to refire. It's been a little while since I've made videos, actually, at all. This may be something you know, or maybe something you've missed out on, but yeah, over the last week, because I've started a new Masters, I've basically just had my plate chock full, and I've been looking at like my to-do list of making videos and stuff, and I've been like, oh, I really should go ahead and make these videos, but it's just always been the case of, no, I have an assignment due in a couple of hours, or, uh-oh. Note to self, do not accelerate time. It is very, very bad for, well, they've got a booster still, they could live. Hypothetically. Oh, that was something I wanted to send up. I wanted to send up, like a recovery module, like a parachute module, up to the SkyLab we have currently floating above Kerbin. Okay, so maybe that'll make for a nice future mission, rendezvousing something up there. But right, okay, we're gonna take it easy breezy, and we'll have a nice descent. Hopefully, then we'll not have too much of an issue with what's it called? With the engines crashing off one another again. Yeah, I do want to grab that extra bit of science that'll allow me to upgrade from these radial decouplers to the detachment manifolds. That's basically just saying from these bad decouplers, well, not bad, but like these small decouplers to bigger decouplers that are able to like really push away these rockets when they're depleted. That's the ambition there. This pilot's not bad, actually. It's like, yeah, a little shaky, but we're not too far off course. I suppose. Oh, jeez, that shouldn't be happening at all. It's nice that we have this this guidance pod acting as well, but a lot of the control is actually coming from the actual pilot as well, which is nice. That's a big mountain range over there. Interesting. Oh. Jeez, my computer's been running like loads of simulations recently, so I'd be worried if like, rendering Kerbal Space Program would tucker it out. Okay, let them drift away. That's what we're going to do instead this time. No big explosions. Oh, goodness me. There we go. We all clear? We all good? Oh, as good as it's going to get, really. Let me have a look at this apoapsis here. We're going to hit space. We are indeed going to hit space. Awesome. So then we honestly can just float up just a little bit. And I'm going to have the reaction wheels in the ship just tilt us ever so slightly east, so that we'll be ready to do our gravity turn sooner rather than later. God, they're so gentle. So they're all floating around there. Big rockets. Okie dokie. We have a lot of extra fuel in this ship, so I might as well just get started with the burn. Oh, look at that change of relative velocity. They start moving back behind us as we start moving forward. Isn't that cool? Isn't physics cool, guys? Right. Yeah, so as you can see pretty easily here, perhaps is extending out quite nicely. For those of you who either do know or don't know anything about projectile simulations, actually, here's an interesting little thing. So, when you have no air resistance, or when you remove air resistance from a system, the furthest you can throw something is at a 45-degree angle. This means that once you're out of atmosphere, the best way to get the farthest orbit is to just burn at a 45-degree angle. Interestingly enough, though, this isn't the only factor, because what happens is as your rocket goes... Alright, that didn't look like a straight line there for a second. As your rocket passes through the atmosphere, you actually have to lean into the rotation of the planet, as well as arcing your orbit or your trajectory as much as possible. So, for example, like, we could have arced it a little more sharply and then tried to duck around the corner there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break away that stage, and we're going to rotate. And once we get up near this apoapsis, you know, we can warp there very shortly. I'm just going to try and recorrect my alignment here. Right, so yeah, once we get up closer to the apoapsis here, we'll just burn perfect, or as close to perfectly horizontal with the surface of the planet as possible, and that'll give us that kind of direct loop we look for. I do it all the time, but I don't think I've ever explained like quite why. All right, engine on time. Let's see how this works. I believe we're using a poodle at the moment. No, I actually think that is another. That's another skipper. Right, we brought that just to get a bit of an extra kick whilst we're trying to build up this orbit here, which is fair enough. I'm probably glad we did it, because it'll save a good bit of time. Now, what we want to do here, guys, is, if you can remember, is try and stay just ahead of the apoapsis, because that is how we will manage to influence the periapsis most. Oh, come on there. Stay on a heading at 90. Be good for me. So we can actually go ahead and we can pull back. There we go. We can pull back our ascent a little bit. Give us that kind of closer to the 45-degree angle again, just to try and push the apoapsis ahead of us, so that we can get back nice and close to it, so we can do all the kind of burning and manipulations of orbit we want. Right, yeah, just staying forever so slightly ahead of it is pretty much the key to getting this right. It's curious the periapsis hasn't popped up yet. I'm a little bit cautious of that, because that's not a great sign, truth be told. Normally, I'd have liked to see it by now, but look, if it's going to result in a nice eccentric orbit, who am I to complain, right? Okay, right. We're getting close. We're getting very close. Like, oh, there's the periapsis now. Lovely. And we're actually, yeah, we're getting very close now. Enough so that I can actually just eject that engine there with no real fear of reprisal. So what we're going to do is we are going to, ever so slightly, just finish out our making our orbit more eccentric in a way. So I'm going to swap to this maneuver mode here. Oh, close that for a second. Advanced orbital information. So we want this eccentricity to get as close to 0 as possible. And the best way to do that is simply to burn ever so slightly near the apoapsis. This is something we figured out kind of recently, and it makes manual piloting much, much easier. As you can see there, we're tending ever so slightly towards 0. We're getting closer and closer to the apoapsis, and like doing our maneuvers here is more fuel efficient than anywhere else on the orbit. So, yeah. Oh, lean right into it. Go ahead and burn that down. That's all we're looking for, is a nice eccentric orbit. When your apoapsis and periapsis are this far out, it is perfectly acceptable to have your eccentricity, say 0 here, but read as a little bit off, given just the sheer scale of things. So we will be able to get this to an eccentricity of 0, but then I'll point out the differences between our actual orbits. Oh, wow, okay, we're getting very close there. I have to bring it up again. And then we'll be able to align ourselves with the prograde once more. And then we'll be able to do another little nudge. There we go. So, we have an eccentricity of 0 now, so I'm going to do a quick save there. I'm going to pin that there, so that's 230,546. Alright, what's our periapsis at? Okay, so it's off by about 30 meters. Now, just thinking on the terms of you and me, like, that is actually quite some distance. 30 meters. Like, I think a really tall person can be about 2 meters tall. And just imagine 15 of those guys stacked on top of one another. Like, 30 meters is nothing. So, even though this isn't, like, perfectly circular, as, you know, we'd love it to be if this were a physically ideal system, it's simply not realistic. So, what we have is a little bit of room for error there. It goes below the significant figure here, but this is still, for our intents and purposes, perfectly all right for what we're after. So, if you can remember the last time we did a flyby of Minmus, we need to set this guy here as a target, and then we need to adjust our ascending and descending nodes. Now, this is the reason why getting your eccentricity right is so important, because burning at the ascending and descending nodes can actually be very, very it can be tricky. It can be tricky, and that can also change the shape of your orbit completely. So, it is with great significance we find ourselves needing to adjust these ascending nodes as much as possible. So, and I might take two maneuvers or so, because these things can get finicky. Okay, no, we apparently would be able to get it in 1 there. So. That's a burn of 19 seconds in about a couple minutes. So I'm gonna do another little quick save there now that we have a nice little maneuver node set up. Lovely job. We're gonna align ourselves with our target there. That'll carry us through. Not a problem. I'll tell you what. We'll warp ahead here. Let's just pick up the pace there. We don't want to overshoot it, of course, and we are gonna want to start our burn at about T-10, because that way we're kind of exerting half the force on either side of that kind of transient point. Ideally, it would all be instantaneous at the 1 point to adjust our orbit, but again, that is not a physically, like, you know, realistic adjustment we can kind of make. So, look, it is what it is. Okay, just gotta wait now for the timer here to hit T-10, and we will be well set. Okay. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignite. Okay, and now our objective here is to do our very best to actually get this ascending node to actually hit 0. It won't be easy. It won't be easy. It may take another swing around, but sure, nobody's perfect, are they? Oh, did we do it? What is this? You know what? Actually, that's not bad at all. What's our eccentricity now? Okay, it's not ideal, but all the same, you know, as maneuvers go, not too shabby at all. Not too shabby at all. You know what? Actually, we could probably do this without too much intercession here. There we go. So yeah, just a bit of manual tweaking there, and we actually do manage to hit the ascending nodes and descending nodes that we're after. And yeah, and our eccentricity isn't phenomenal. That's fair enough. But we can iron that out pretty readily, actually. And then once we have our eccentricity fixed up, we'll be ready to perform what is known as a Hoffman transfer. So, I'm gonna actually gonna have my guy, the Kerbals, warp towards here. Actually, who are my crew again? Kendar, Depond, and Gwendrid. Yeah, right. A bit dark there at the moment, isn't it? So when you're stuck behind a big old planet, can't really be helped. Okie dokie. So, lovely, that's our heading the polar sense, but what we want to do is correct now and head towards our... Well, actually, I'm taking the long way around. Correct towards our prograde vector. Because once we're aligned with the prograde, we'll be able to do the burns that we require. Oh, nicely done. We'll be able to do the burns that we require in order to go ahead and actually make our orbits eccentric again. So, okay, lovely. 83 degrees then is our heading. We want to try and keep it around 83 degrees. No more, no less. Realistically. And too much tweaking, or indelicate tweaking, could even lead to changes in our descending and ascending nodes, which is not something we're interested in. Yeah, that's all still good, because we are just going along the prograde. We are just following this orbit. We're not doing too much to adjust it, which is what we're after. Okay, we're having these little jumps here. As I said, it would be ideal if all of our thrust could be like completely impulse based, but often that's not achievable. So we do with what we can. That said, we have a descending node of 0 and a inverted commas perfectly eccentric orbit. So now we are in a prime position to go ahead and just create a maneuver node. So add maneuver. We're going to expand this out. So here's the interesting thing about having a perfectly eccentric orbit, right? What it allows you to do is it allows you to move this ring around the entire orbit that you have, and because it's all what we describe as potentially equal, so that means like there's no part of the orbit that is in a higher potential than another. Because it's all potentially equal, we can completely manipulate this node however we so want, in whatever way is most convenient for us. So, right, we twiggle around here a little bit. Oh, this doesn't control shocking well. That's a moon intercept. We're not after a moon intercept. Okay, this is going to bring us around the inside of the moon, which is not something we're wanting. The inside of Minmus, rather. So we want to come around the outside, because that means that we have the gravity then working with us to try and pull us back in. Okay. Oh, goodness me. Not too easy to reposition this node here, so I'm going to... What have I done? What have I done? What? No, okay, right. This is all just the same node here. Okay, grand. Just grabbing it is a little tricky at times. So yeah, we want to try and just find some point in time where our intercept... Oh, wait, what you doing there? Our intercept gives us a nice little interaction with Minmus. Nothing is jumping out at me as like particularly good, but I could also be a little bit wrong about that. Now, let's see. Equally, we could just wait a couple cycles potentially. Hang on, let's have a look at this. This Minmus encounter. And the Minmus periapsis there of 89,000 meters. That is on the outside, right? Oh, it's tough to get a look. It's tough to get a look. Right, we're not going to do anything with that. I'm just going to try and maneuver this just a little bit more. The fine-tuning is now the hardest part of it. You know what we could do, actually? You know what? What actually might be a good idea? We're just going to give ourselves a little bit of a wiggle there to see what new courses we open up, what new trajectories we can find ourselves on. Now, we don't want to hit escape velocity of the system. That would be bad. So we're going to make sure that whatever orbit we do have projected, that it's very, very reasonable, and that it won't cause us to just fly straight up out of the galaxy. Not out of the galaxy, out of the planetary system. Ooh, that could be a good intercept. And look, sure, if we fail, we smash right into the moon. So, like, what's not to love? 2 trips for the price of 1. Okay. That's actually not a bad one. Oh. What's that periapsis out there? 14 million. Well, I could work with that, I suppose. All right, tell you what, we'll give it a try. We'll have something happen now. It's a 1-minute burn. Okay. And then we'll be on our way up to Minmus. All right, so we're gonna want to start burning at like 30 seconds out of the side. So T-minus 30 is the right call, I think. Oh, it's nice to be back though. I like recording. I've just been like so busy. I know Fifik was wondering, you know, is the Masters going to reduce the number of videos I'm outputting? Tragically, it is. I've recently just been breaking my streak of having contiguous uploads, as I had all summer. Actually, I didn't go a day without missing one. But now life is getting in the way, I suppose. Uh-oh, I need to really align myself with this actual tracking object. Just gonna quickly go ahead and grab you there. Thank you very much. Lovely. So at 31 seconds, I'll start firing the engines. Right, so hopefully this will get us out to Minmus, no problem. And then we'll be able to set up orbit. And once we've established an orbit, what we can do is we can start beaming science back to where we need it to be, which is awesome. This won't be a pretty orbit, by the way, in case you were curious. It will very much be an ugly, lopsided one, and I don't know if I'm going to... It probably wouldn't be the worst idea spending the fuel to kind of realign an orbit, just so that we can have ourselves a nice little, I suppose, rally point in a way, because I've equipped this vessel with some basic comms, and so yeah, whilst it's definitely, it could act as a weak relay, I suppose, and you know what, it would do quite well for supporting any missions, like landing missions on Minmus, which I feel like we're going to have to do at some point to collect samples. Right, so there's the moon interfering. Okay. So what I want now is to get rid of that, and to have myself a look at what my actual periapsis is going to be. So it'll be a very narrow window of opportunity. Okay, it's a slightly larger window now, but I'm going to actually go with this. This feels like the right call. Okay. How is the crew doing, by the way? You know what? I'm going to go through my action groups here. So, space high over Kerbal. So this is... I'm going to leave all of this science for the... Yeah, I'm going to leave all this science for my good friends in the actual SkyLab at Kerbal. But... yeah, okay, good to know. Good to know that science still hasn't been exhausted yet. That's actually quite good. So, 1 is collect all the science. Cool. 2 does what? 2, I may have disabled that. That might have been an alternate group. 3, pretty sure that extends ladders for navigation. Yep, not a problem. We're in space now, so it really doesn't matter. 4, extends radiators. Handy. 5, extends our antennae. So, this is how these relays are going to operate. And I'm pretty sure that was the last of it there. Having those guys have a go. So, you know, I'm going to do another little quick save there, and we're going to warp up to Minmus. And pray we don't miss it. Yeah, we do have our very small intercept there. That's fine. Okay, we're actually well ahead of the planet there, but we are coming on the outside of it, which is good. That kind of gives us a bit of a natural advantage of sorts. Okay, let's speed things up just a bit. Yeah, okay, so it's very strange relativistic motion because we're just kind of up here and the planet's actually kind of moving past us. So I'm going to bring down our warp now. And what we need to do is we need to go and we need to burn on the retrograde in order to bring us into a nice clean orbit around Minmus. And then we can start taking in a load of science. So I'm probably going to collect... Whoops. I'm probably going to collect science from high orbit first, and then move low. So yes, all we have to do now is put ourselves in a convenient enough position to bring down our orbit here. So we're going to try and do this maneuver as close to the periapsis as possible, but you know, at the risk of goofing entirely, I'm going to start the burnout here in a minute. It's maybe not the most efficient way to do things, yeah. Maybe not the most efficient way to have things done, but it will bring in the orbit the way I'm looking for, so that's good. Gotta keep tracking up to it every now and then just to make sure we're not falling too far behind. A minute out is not a bad idea. A couple minutes though, maybe not a great use of our small fuel supply. Yeah, as you can see there, like that orbit is really starting to curve now. Oh, and I've accidentally overshot it. That's fine. I get a little zealous with that fast forward button sometimes, but that just means whatever point we were at was going to be the natural apoapsis. So it's actually quite convenient. How is our orbit actually? Huh. It's not bad actually. It's not bad. Now if I were to... Yeah, no, I've still got good signal strength here. We're well out. We're well out. If I were to try and maneuver us into a... Actually, you know what I should do? I should do science. We should do science. We're out here. We should do science. So I'm going to have... yeah, I'm going to turn the ship this way just a little bit, just for safety. Then I'm going to quickly accelerate it there, so that it like completely stabilizes. And we are going to have our first spacewalk, our EVA, around Minmus. So we're going to grab a quick EVA report. Lovely, we're going to keep that. And we can store that experiment. Awesome, and we're going to board again. So wonderful. So what we will do is we will review that stored data, and we will send it back to base. Now, if we were to go back out and EVA again, I'm quite sure that if we EVA, we can keep the experiment, we can board the experiment, and then upon review, yeah, we can choose to send that off to the lab. So that EVA report there will actually directly contribute to our work here. Our crew report also will contribute to the science. Awesome. So 16 data and 25 data. Right, so we're quite good for data at the moment. What else are we going to do? We are going to run our experiments. So I think it behooves us to transmit whatever we can and then reset the experiments. We can't take back any more temperature scans or atmospheric pressure scans, so we might as well save these. Lovely job. But then we will have the actual we will have the lab clean the remaining experiments, so that's good. It's a good way to collect some data right there. Is there anything else I can grab data from? We've done our EVA. We've done our crew report. How are we for data? 135 out of 750 total. You know what? That's not awful. That is not bad. Oh. Let's do observation. We're going to keep that experiment. Keep you and keep you. That's grand. Okay, and the Science Junior. Conduct material study. Don't mind if I do. And we are going to... Yeah, we're going to process this in the lab. That's fine. That's not too much of an issue. You can clean that experiment now, that's fine. But that should also be a good bit of data on top of that. Lovely. Okay, great, great, great. So now what we get to do is we are going to go ahead and bring in our orbit. So nice and close. There's no atmosphere here, so we can honestly play it a little bit on the dangerous side. Yeah, let's say 50,000. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that won't bonk us off any mountains. Alright, okay, just under 50,000 there. Lovely. So we're going to perform a quick save. A quick save. We're going to... Oh, lovely. We're actually orbiting in the opposite direction of the rest of the planet as well. Or of the actual planet itself, so that's tricky. That's energetically expensive as well, if I can recall. This is still considered high over Minmus. Right, so I was right to kind of aim for 50. Once we get back up to that apoapsis, we're going to slow us right down again. I want to adjust that orbit pretty nicely. You can see, by the way, once we get out to this part of space, we spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time getting there, and then we're slingshotted back up. But this is a very, very low orbital velocity. It's because we're so far away from Kerbin. Right, we need to maneuver you here a little bit. We want to bring down this periapsis. Okay, lovely job. A little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, bring that up a little bit. Yeah. You know what? Let's pop it under 20. Under 20. I know that seems a little risky. I think it is, actually. But if it's for science, right? And the fact, actually, that we're kind of at an angle here, we're a little bit desynchronized with the planet, is quite good for our observations. It will be, rather. Crew report. Lovely, so that's some more data sent off right there, and some more data for the lab, as well as an EVA we're free to perform. EVA report here. Oh, lovely, that's a lot of science right there. We can board, and we can send off that data. Lovely, so that gets sent off no problem. And we can EVA once again, just to grab that data then for lab review. So, click you here, EVA report, grab the experiment, board with the experiment, review said experiment, send that to the lab. Then we're going to press the action button here, the one that really gets the data. And we're going to send off all of the data we can for the time being. So what else do we have? What other experiments will run here for me? Oh, clean experiments. Apparently all these other experiments are actually busy at the moment, so... Whoops, review data. This is classified as high over Minmus? Are you serious? No, okay, good. So, we're going to send that off there. We're going to review. Yeah, we're going to reset that. Let's have a quick look-see. Okay, we can't get any more information from sending it off, so we're going to send that right to the lab. That's perfectly all right. We're going to review the temperature data here. Oh, no, we're going to log new temperature data. We're going to send off what we can. Similarly, we're going to log new atmospheric pressure data, which is great. Then we're going to go onto this thermometer, and we are going to take that data there for the actual lab itself. And we're going to take some additional data for the lab from this guy here. Awesome. And how are we doing for research then? Okay, a good 428. We're going to clean the experiments there as well, and then we'll be able to get materials out of the Science Bay Junior. So we can conduct our material study, and now that we've sent it off, we can grab another... That's 125 data. Nice. Okay, so that brings us up to 553. Okay. So we can also level up our crew. So, wonderful. So we get access to additional abilities on behalf of all the pilots and... the pilot and all the scientists. So wonderful. They can go up here to level up, and they've started to produce science. So we're going to start our research. I know that's an expensive enough procedure. Actually, that was something I probably should have upgraded before I sent this vessel out here, but, you know, can't win them all, I suppose, is one way to look at things. And we'll put them in this nice antipolar orbit, so that way they will pretty much always have access to some kind of sunlight. May not be enough, but it's something. It's a lot more than they were going to get otherwise. Cannot level our crew up anymore. Alright, so that is this vessel established. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That's a little bit wonky if I'm being totally honest with you guys. And I don't think, relatively speaking, it's actually that polar. I think it's polar just relative to this body, so something to be said for that. But sure, it'll still manage to get plenty of sunlight, and there'll only be a small amount of time in which it's actually properly eclipsed. Huh. I'm curious, will there ever be a point where we're, okay, yeah, it will actually fully charge at a point as well. That's good, that's good. Alright, so how are we for science here? I've almost got one. Might as well work up to that and then send back the fruits of our research. There we go. So let's transmit a science there as well. Ah, lovely. Okay, one science added. Great job, guys. You'll be relieved from duty in a couple of years. Maybe. Depends on whether or not I want to dock with you and like recover these Kerbals. I like doing recovery missions. They're quite fun. They get a good bit of role playing out of them. But beyond that, I'm quite sure that's a contract completed. There we go. We've explored Minmus. So without any further ado, we're not gonna revert anything. We're going to go and head back to the space center. So that was actually a very successful mission. Not a single critical failure other than the very first one we had with the boosters. I'm gonna quickly advance to morning here. Hope everything works out all right, and we've got a good bit of science to spend. So let's have a look at the place in which the ways in which we can spend that science. So, field science 300. We just an external command seat that basically just allows us to strap Kerbals to random things, which is pretty good if you ask me. A nice large advanced reaction wheel. Advanced command modules, they're always cool. They're never not cool. Precision engineering, now that'll be handy. Yeah, that gives us access to smoother inline antennae and relay antenna, like proper relay antenna. Then there's advanced electrics, which is actually quite important because that gives you some decent photovoltaic production. There's the precision propulsion. It's not something I ever really use personally. Small engines are I never launch payloads small enough to make using small engines worth it, if you get me. Ooh, here we have access to a lot of really good RCS material, so if we want to make some big guys, basically. We want to make some big, precise guys. That's how we're going to do it. Ooh, this would give us access to the mainsail and the twin bore, actually, which is overwhelmingly powerful. But actually, you know what? I've just recalled now what I want. And I want this hydraulic detachment manifold. So we're going to get that, and that is going to improve the quality of our craft dramatically. Getting these stack separators is lovely too. We got a nice big flag that we can just add, which is always good. Aerodynamics, not shockingly interested in. I don't plan on doing anything aeronautical in this series. Advanced landing. Now those big landing struts are very, very good. They're my favorite strut, really. There's nothing better than them because they're that good. Ooh, some scanning technology. Now that's interesting. That's a whole new array of sciences we could potentially bring to the fore. It's quite funny that we're just after setting up some labs, and we might actually need to, have them not be so up. But I think, that's a hex as well. That's a really good core. I think the next call has to be advanced electrics because we need these better solar panels. So I'm going to grab these guys without any more hesitation. There's the Gigantor XL solar array. That's how you make the real power right there. And then lovely more relay technology shortly after that. So yes, there's still some science left to pick up. We haven't gotten all the different types of research that we can do yet. But we will be able to get them in the near future. Okay, and then before we finish up for the day here, we're going to have a look at mission control and Minmus. We have to attempt a landing. Well, that seems like an unmanned landing to me. So next time we come back, we will be landing a craft on Minmus. Maybe I should have picked up these extra legs to plant a little bit more firmly, but we're a little bit behind in the science. Actually, the Mark 14. Let's go to you. I'm assuming you have to have some news for me, right? Let's have you. Oh, you've got a wealth of science on you. Now that's what I'd like to see. So we need some electricity, naturally, and the lab does not do well with electricity at the best of times. So we're gonna have to have this guy come around to the sunlight here. Okay. How are we for electricity? Okay, we're good. And we can transmit this science now. There's a lot of science going out just through these small antennae here, but thankfully we're very, very close to home, so we get access to a lot of good material. You know, that actually reminds me, a lot of the research here is biome specific. What I mean by that is, like, you know, it's flying over Kerbal deserts, mountains, highlands, all that kind of stuff. Minmus has similar features that we should probably tap if we want our research to be that much more effective. Okay, lovely, and that science has been sent off, so we can start our research again. And we can also pick up the landing legs that we will be using to plant ourselves firmly on Minmus in the next episode. I'm going to do that now because I absolutely will forget otherwise. So advanced landing, lovely. Advanced landing, there we go. Oh, I'm only 2 science off from getting another one of these like advanced guys here, so that's pretty cool. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care and goodbye. Reconstruct teleport. Oh yes, that is easily one of the best upgrades for a teleportation heavy build. Add a crew teleporter on the same station? Oh guys, this is a blessed run right here. This looks like it's gonna be it. They resisted! Oh, thank God. Just go. Jump. Next sector. That was too fucking dangerous.